Eamon.
Jay, when you elevate significantly the purses in 8 tournaments, then add 3 international events, and then create a situation where the domestic fall series is guys fighting for status for the following year, is there any concern about diminishing the impact of the FedEx Cup playoffs themselves?
Eamon, I don't see. I think we're actually adding to the significance of the FedEx Cup playoffs themselves, because to me, every single event is going to be elevated as it relates to purses. That's a commitment that we have, and top players are playing at these events already. You know, when you look at the specific events that we're going to be elevating, that's where top players are already convening. And so I think this is additive to the FedEx Cup playoffs, particularly when you think about it done in the context of a shorter season. And every tournament on the PGA Tour competes. They compete to secure the best players. They compete to create the best experiences for their families, to provide the best venues. It's a very healthy environment. I only expect that to continue.
Jason.
Jay, as you mentioned, through the resource allocation plan, it was announced today that purses will be raised at those 8 events moving forward. Yeah. Just wondering, where do those increased funds come from? And if they were readily available, why weren't they being offered previously?
Like I said earlier, we're running a business. And the way I look at this, we're in our business cycle. We're entering the last third of our FedEx Cup season. And so when you think about the changes we announced today, you actually have to go back to our board meeting in March of 2020 when we were finalizing our domestic media rights deals. We had put in front of our board a resource allocation projection, where the monies were going to go. And at that point in time, we started to invest in our tournaments and in new programs. We also, at that point in time, started the exercise of what can we do in the context of these longer-term commitments we have from media partners and sponsors to continue to make our product stronger. So this conversation about our schedule, both the core schedule, what we're going to do in the fall, and then the purse elements, the only thing that's really different, and you can ask any member that's been on the PAC, we've talked about this all year, is the purse allocation. So to your question about what's different, one of the things that we've heard over the last several months from our sponsors is, please tell us what we can do to help. And so the changes that we're making, which will be roughly $45 million in incremental purse, is coming from a combination of sponsor contribution, ways to continue to sell more within those events themselves, and our reserves. And we met yesterday afternoon, and our discussion with our policy board was, this is something we can do right now as we go into next year that accelerates what we were planning to do, but's the right thing for the business at this time.
I don't want to assume anything. I want to make sure I'm understanding correctly. Are you suggesting that this isn't a direct reaction to LIV, that you might have been doing this anyway?
We were planning on raising purses to these events in the future, okay? And that was part of our resource allocation plan. The move that we're making at the start of 2023, there's no question that one of the things that we're looking to do is make certain that our top events are maximized both in terms of their consequence and the financial investment. And this is an acceleration of that. So yes, this is something that we're doing to respond on behalf of our members to the current environment that we're in.
George.
Jay, continuing on the conversations with the Strategic Alliance and the DP World Tour, was speaking with a DP World Tour member, and to his understanding, according to their bylaws, you can't suspend a player for playing in a rival tour. So what would the PGA Tour policy be going forward with co-sanctioned events between the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour in regards to golfers who are LIV Golf members?
Well, I think it's important, to, again, go back to the fact that the PGA Tour and DP World Tour, while in a strategic alliance, are two separate organizations. So we're going to do what we've done every step of the way, which is to follow our regulations and follow them very closely. the DP World Tour is going to do the same. So, that's the decision that they're going to make, and they're going to make it independent of us.
Just pull the mic a little closer, Jay.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay. Phil?
Jay, in retrospect, did you or the PGA Tour underestimate the impact that the Live Golf venture would have?
I don't believe so. I've taken it very seriously from the outset. So I wouldn't suggest that I've underestimated it at all.
Jay, can you ever see a scenario down the road where you work with Live Golf in a global structure?
Hypotheticals. Doug, 100% of my focus is on our tour and doing the things that we need to do to grow our tour, to celebrate our members, and to continue to be the ultimate platform for the best players in the world. The place that they want to come to compete, again, to prepare for the greatest championships in our game. The best competing against the best at historic venues with tradition, with tournaments and traditions, with meaning and purpose and significance, with moments everybody can recall. Every player out here trying to create the moments that have preceded those tournaments themselves. We're going down our path. We're going to continue to go down our path. We're excited about what we've announced today, and there's more exciting news to come. And we're going to do it as a tour, as a collective, and with a group of members that are squarely behind their tour.
And secondly, of all the players that have gone over, have you ever had anyone come to you in conversation before signing?
Yes.
Obviously not well, but I mean, what was the nature of the conversation?
Those are private conversations. And I think for a lot of players, they're having a really hard time making that decision. And some have decided to stay, and some didn't. But again, I'd rather not get into the specifics of that.
Okay. In the back, please.
With everything that's happened recently, how could this possibly affect the President's Cup?
Well, listen, I think we're going to have a tremendous 2022 President's Cup at Quail Hollow. And the President's Cup has always been not only a world-class competition against the international team and U.S. team, but it's also been a great celebration of golf. And I know that Trevor and Davis are putting their hearts and souls into preparing their teams. And when we get to Quail Hollow, we're going to have a phenomenal President's Cup. And they're going to put their best team forward. And that's something that I know they're spending their time and energy on, and I'm proud of them for that.
George?
Jay, curious if you have had a conversation or would consider in the future with Andy Gardner and the Premier Golf League.
I have not had a conversation with Andy Gardner, but as I've talked about previously, we did receive a letter. We've analyzed their proposal, and at this point, again, going back to our business model and the strength of it, don't really see an opportunity on that front. But I'll stress, we'll look at anything and everything, just as we have in the past. But the model we have is as strong as it's ever been, and it's only getting stronger. And for the players of today and the players of the future, and make certain that continues to be the case.
Okay. Last two. Do Doug and then up here, please.
I'm guessing you don't have a lot of details on the 3 international series. Could you either make some up, or would you see those being co-sanctioned by tours that in the regions you play?
Well, I think you answered your own question. We have spent a lot of time with our Player Advisory Council and with our board We're considering a lot of different, or several different iterations of what that will be. I expect that in the coming months we'll finalize that, Doug, and then once we have, we'll certainly lay it out in great detail. But ultimately, the top 50 players from the FedEx Cup season are going to have an extraordinary opportunity, and we're excited to create a new series and to celebrate that with them.
What is the future of the WGC going forward? The label, the title, if you will.
The future.
Is it just one, or do you just change the name of Austin, or what?
Well, it's two, and we've got the WGC HSBC champions and the WGC Dell Match Play. I think that's, when you look at the core of our season, we have one. We expect to continue with that brand. And if any changes are to be made, Doug, we'll certainly let you know. But right now, we plan to continue forward.
And when do you expect to have a fall schedule?
What's that? A
fall schedule? Because it starts, if I heard you correctly, everything starts, will you have a fall schedule?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll definitely have a fall schedule. We have a fall schedule this year, and I think when we go to announce our schedule next season, we'll lay out our fall schedule. Or at the point in time when it's completed, we'll lay that out.
Okay. Last question up here, please.
Yeah, Jay, sooner or later this will end, to resolve somehow. What's your vision for what the end will look like with this story?
The vision comes back to the announcement that we made today, and the PGA Tour continuing to be the greatest tour in the world. And when you look at the elements of a new FedEx Cup season, new opportunities in the fall, more consequence during our regular season, an alliance with the DP World Tour, investments that we're going to make in promoting and celebrating our athletes, investments that we're making in areas like gaming, NFTs, future media, content development. I expect that we will continue to innovate, we will continue to evolve, and the product that you see and that fans see every single week will continue to get stronger and stronger. And this organization will do what it's always done. When you step back, it's not just the best players in the world competing against each other week in and week out, but the impact that we have in a time and a day and an age where life is all about meaning and purpose, and the expectation is that we all do more, that the PGA Tour will continue to have a profound impact on lives through the charities that are benefiting from our tournament, every community where we play, and we'll take advantage of this moment in time where we've got an incredible group of athletes, young, international, emerging, established, that we're going to use this moment in time to accelerate the growth of our game and do all the things that are going to provide the strength and the momentum that are needed for us to grow, to get back to that core principle of best players playing on the greatest stage, which is the PGA Tour.
Thank you, Jay.
Oh, he's got one more.
I'm sorry. Doug?
One of the things we keep hearing from a lot of different angles is that there's just too many tournaments on the schedule. Do you see anything going forward where the number of tournaments that you sanction is less than what it is now, substantially less?
Well, I think what we've done today, Doug, is you've gone from a wraparound season to a season, a FedEx Cup season, that is primarily January through August. And by creating two separate tracks for those players that finish, inside the top 70 and outside the top 70, to me, there's some alleviation there. But more importantly, those tournaments within the core have gotten even stronger. And I fundamentally believe that those tournaments in the fall, given the importance and significance that an opportunity to be on a PGA Tour means, qualifying for invitationals, retaining your card, I think that moment is going to be, while different than it's been in the past, I think is going to be very exciting for fans, and I think will create great energy in the fall. So I don't foresee a day where there are fewer tournaments, because we need the full breadth of those tournaments in order to do the things that we're doing, which is, again, within the 35 events in the core PGA Tour season, create as much consequence, which creates the relevancy and context for the best players in the world, and then to be able to provide up to 3 events for those that have performed at the highest level, and then provide 6 tournaments in the fall, ultimately, to compete for positioning and cards the following year. So you like to ask a lot of questions about, do I foresee or hypothetical? Perhaps along the fringes, but I see the schedule that we've committed to today being the schedule that we're going to run with for a long time to come.
Right. Jay, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate it. Thank you.